Welcome back to our Christmas content advent calendar, where every single day through to the 24th of December, we're bringing you a brand new video. Whether it's a tutorial, whether it's something interesting, it's something photography related. Today, we're diving into Lightroom, where we're going to be talking about how you can edit a low light photo. We're going to look at a cityscape photo, and we're going to look at a portrait. We're going to go through and edit both photos together. I'm going to go through some kind of tips and tricks that you can use to really get the best out of the photos. So let's just dive straight in. So the first photo that we've got is this cityscape photo of these skyscrapers reaching up into the sky. This is in blue hour, so the hour after sunset, where you've got that really nice kind of rich blue in the sky. We're going to go through a couple of ways that we can actually kind of enhance this, really get the most out of it. It's going to be partly to do with color. It's going to be partly to do with dealing with noise, because this was taken ISO 2000, so high, but not like crazy high, but we've got a bit of noise in the sky. Very interestingly, this was also shot at f2.8, which is really quite impressive considering how sharp the whole photo is. That's something I really like about using. It was shot in the Sony 24-70 G Master lens. I just find that lens to be shockingly good at doing exactly what I want it to do. So whether I'm shooting 70mm and I'm actually getting really nice bokeh, or whether I'm shooting 24mm or 37mm like this, f2.8, but somehow getting everything in focus. You know, it's just a perfect accompany to the A7 III, I find. Now with this photo, we're going to start off by just pumping up that contrast a little bit, just to really kind of maximize the difference between the buildings and the sky. You know, you've got really nice reflections on here, but we do want to have a bit of separation there. I'm probably going to bring the highlights down a little bit. I'm going to pump the shadows a little bit as well, and then blacks down just to enhance that contrast, whites up a little bit. Now, texture I'm going to bring up, clarity I'm going to bring up as well. Now, when it comes to texture and clarity in a photo like this, I find they can often really help to really get that separation between the building and the sky, really help with the sharpness. And clarity can almost help to, so we'll start bringing them up here a little bit. Clarity can almost help to kind of brighten the buildings here, really make them stand out. I'm also going to bring the vibrance up a little bit and saturation just a touch. Now, this is the first kind of tips, tricks thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the noise that we've got in the sky here. So let's grab the adjustment brush at the top right, and let's leave everything here alone, but let's bring the noise all the way up to 100. Now that means we can actually paint in on the sky some noise reduction. I don't want to do noise reduction across the whole photo because we're going to lose detail in the building. We're going to lose detail where it's kind of reducing the sharpness and stuff like that. It's going to go a little bit blurry. But with the sky, it really doesn't matter. So I'm being very selective here by painting that into the sky. Now, if I zoom in, you can see the kind of differences it's making. Up here, we've already painted it in. If you look here, it's really quite noisy. But painting that in kind of just sort of blurs that out a little bit. And we can really kind of just get away with it a bit there. So if I zoom back out, I'll just paint over all of that bit of sky. And honestly, for me at least, I feel that's made quite a big bit of difference. Now let's leave the tone curve alone for this one and go straight down to the HSL tab. So that's hue, saturation, and luminance. Now we've talked about this tab a lot in different photos. We're going to bring the oranges down quite a bit because I really want to get an orange and blue kind of thing going on here. With that rich blue in the sky, ooh, we can really accentuate that orange and blue kind of contrasting colors thing. So let's bring the oranges down, make a nice rich color there. Let's bring the yellows down a bit as well because we've got lights over here. That just really helps to punch them out a little bit, I think. Greens, we're not really going to get anything, so it doesn't really matter too much. But blues, I'm going to bring them just a touch into the teal side of things. You can see when I just touch that blue tab, it is seriously sensitive with this photo, and that's because we've got so much blue here. Let me drag that to the left. Let me show you how much of a difference this is able to make. That is remarkable. So I'm really going to be very gentle with what I'm doing. I've brought it to -5, so it's just touching into the teal side without really making too much of a problem. Split toning I'm actually going to leave alone because I don't want to put any orange into the highlights, which is probably going to be the sky. So if I do that, for example, Let's have a look. Yeah, you see, I just don't like the look of that. So split toning, I normally go in and do a little bit of something with the highlights and the shadows. I don't think I'm going to on this one though. I'm also going to come all the way down here to the vignetting, and I'm going to apply a little bit of a vignette on the corners just to focus the attention of the photo into the middle. And then I'm going to down the calibration. I'm going to bring the red primary out towards the orange and the blue primary not too far, but a little bit out towards the teal. Now, you might think this is a little bit oversaturated. Maybe I'll bring the saturation down a touch. But we've made a big, big difference to this photo. Let's show the before and then the after. So before and after, we've really brought those colors out. We've brought the blue out. I really, really like it. I actually really like this photo. So I think that's gone quite well. We've managed the noise pretty well in the sky, and we've really made those colors pop. Let's move on to a portrait now. Now I've got this photo here. This was taken in Brighton. Now, it was shot with an f1.4 lens, which is funny because the actual kind of brightness of the scene, it looks relatively bright, but that's only because we're letting so much light in with an f1.4, and I can assure you, we've got nice lights in the background there. It really wasn't that bright. We've got a bit of kind of street lights and things like that, but they were quite nice. So a decent amount of ambient light, which has helped a lot, but we're going to go in and really make this this photo pop, I think. So let's start off with something that I think is really helpful when you're doing a low light portrait. My model's face here is really the main part of this photo. It's the focus of the photo. So we want to make sure that's going to be one of the brighter areas. So let's bring the highlights down pretty much all the way so that we get rid of the brightness over on the right. And then let's grab the radial filter and let's just double click the effect so that we reset everything. Drag that so that it goes over her face. We want it to really encapsulate pretty much her whole face. I'm going to click invert, which means that we're now affecting the inside of the radial filter rather than everything outside. And I'm just going to bring the exposure up, probably by about 3/4 of a stop. Yeah, something like, oh, that's a bit too much. Something like that is fine, I think. In fact, let's put it at 0.75 and click done. Now that makes her face the brightest part of the image without it being crazy obvious that we've just gone in there and brightened that up. That's a very easy and quick way to make your subject pop in a situation like this. In a situation where she's not lit as well as maybe you'd like, this is a really easy way to just sort that out and make her the brightest part of the image. Now next we're going to bring the contrast up a little bit. Let's pump the shadows up a tiny bit as well. Bring those blacks down, maybe a tiny bit of texture and clarity, but do you know what, actually I'm going to leave those alone. You really don't need to touch them unless you actually want to. You don't have to go in there and do that. Let's bring the vibrance up a little bit and saturation just a touch as well. Again, I'm going to leave the tone curve alone. I'm going to come down here to the HSL tab. It's probably my favorite part of editing photos, to be honest, is doing the color. I just love it. I just love it so much. So let's go into the oranges there. Let's just bring that down a touch. Now, it's worth being wary with the oranges when you're doing portraits like this because it is going to affect the skin tones. Let's bring yellows down a touch as well. And then let's bring the blues over to the sort of teal side of things. Let's go down here to split toning. Let's pop a bit of orange into the highlights. Very nice. That's affecting her face, which is actually quite nice. And then a little bit of teal into the shadow. Very nice, very nice. And then let's just pop down a little bit further. And let's put a little bit of a vignette on here. And then all the way to the bottom, let's bring the red primary, not too far actually, over to the orange. So about that, you can see our skin tone's gone a little bit yellow, but we can correct that by bringing the blue primary over towards the teal. And we get a really quite nice image. Now, if you want to go even further with this, we could just grab the adjustment brush here, double click effect to reset everything, and just add a little bit of exposure and paint it in on the eyes. That's just going to make the eyes pop. And I think that looks really nice. I think that looks really, really nice. Again, if we go for the before and the after, so let's look at the before. This is the before, and then this is the after. So you can see just immediately, we've really made her face the focal point of the image. We've gotten rid of those bright spots to the right and to the left. And it just looks really nice. I might even crop this one. You know what? I really love a 16:9. I think it's because I'm a videographer. So I love it to be wider. But I think that looks really, really nice. It really accentuates the lights over on the left, she's over on the right. Lovely. So that's us editing a couple of low light photos. We've done cityscape, we've done portrait. There's a couple of sort of tips and tricks in there that I use for various things. So we've got the noise reduction with the adjustment brush, so we're not applying it to the whole image. And then of course we've got the part where we really make her face the focal point, you know, make our subject pop using the radial filter, which is a very, very helpful method of actually controlling something like that. Now, if you have any questions, pop them down in the comments. If you have any tips or tricks yourself that you don't think we've covered in this, pop them down there as well. I love reading all about that. Then we can all learn together. Make sure to subscribe as well, because we've got new content coming every day through to the 24th of December and beyond, of course. Of course, it goes on forever. Make sure to give the video a like as well. That always helps out the channel. I will see you tomorrow. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.